All right. Welcome, everybody. Today is August the 2nd, and we are here with Colevin Crause from the Greater Victoria Property Group. And we just want to do a quick market update for you because the MLS and VREB stats just came out yesterday. And we just wanted to keep you guys, fingers on the pulse and ready to rock and roll to pull triggers, make offers, and, build your investment portfolios. And who better to talk to us about the current market conditions and what's going on and some recent data than Colevin Crause. You guys are a huge sponsor of our meetup and a big part of our community that we're building here in Victoria. A huge thank you just for your continued support on that end. And another thank you for just being here with me today. I'm super stoked to hear what you got to say. And I think, it's really valuable for everybody watching this to have those monthly updates, in a visual kind of conversation type of way, because there might be some things that we talk about that you wouldn't pick up on just reading the little, report that VREB sends out. So, Colevin, thanks for being here, man. Why don't you tell everybody a little bit about yourself and some information around Greater Victoria Property Group and how you work with investors?
Sure. Well, thanks for having me. So as you said, my name is Colevin Crause. I'm with the Greater Victoria Property Group. We're licensed with Lepage here in Victoria. And we are a team of 5 currently. My mother, Sherry, my stepfather, Rick Hugendorn, and 2 completely unrelated parties, Courtney Hutchings and Sarah Ringma. And Sherry in particular and Rick, they've been investing since roughly dinosaurs roamed the earth. Long before they were realtors, and they were financial planners. And of course, being their son, I grew up a lot in that. And then they made the switch to real estate, and I was actually going after power engineering up north in oil and gas. Not so popular around these parts, but it was awesome, and it paid really well. And the idea was to, have 2 weeks on, 2 weeks off, make a bunch of money, spend the time off doing real estate investing, which was a reasonable, sound plan. What I didn't count on is that I'm married and have children, and had more children, and the time away doing shift work just wasn't conducive. The point of real estate investing, I think for most people, not all, but most, is to be able to buy some of your time back. Mm-hmm. And so it was very counterproductive that way. And one day Sherry said, well, why don't you just join us as realtors? And I couldn't turn it down, really. It was a chance to expedite my learning and to really become an expert in one particular market, and that's the Greater Victoria region. And I get to spend a lot more time with my family. So that's a little bit about myself. What makes us niche with investors is both our experience as investors, development, holding properties, very unique properties, but we're also affiliated with Keyspire, Rain, and REAG. And so we are the preferred realtors for Victoria through an outfit called Investor on Fire, which is one of 2 brokerages that works directly with Keyspire. So through them, we're the people for Victoria. So we go to the events, we bring the knowledge, we get to meet tons of investors. And I would say actually the biggest part of that, outside of the formal education events, because we get to go listen to all of it, is you learn so much from just being around other investors. And I think you would probably agree with this, Steve, that even at your own meetup, you learn so much just from what other people are doing and the experiences that they've had.
Yeah.
And so, we get to be around thousands from all across Canada all year. And it's just like drinking from a fire hose. And then you find what parts translate to this market because other provinces have different rules and everything. But a lot of the same concepts we can bring back home and integrate here. And it's really been a game changer both for us and for our clients. Yeah.
And, now that you're mentioning that, that does make a whole lot of sense. Having good roots into, Keyspire, Rain, et cetera, if you're talking with other investors and other professionals in Brantford, and you learn something new that is working in that market that hasn't been done here yet. Maybe there's that kind of like cross-pollination, as I kind of call it, where you can learn from other people from different markets and implement it into your own and start something new that nobody's seen before that really works in a profitable manner for investing. So yeah,
it's massive. I'll share a freebie that that I got from going to an Acre. So we were one of the booths at the Acre last year in Vancouver. That's a REIN event for those who don't know. And I was talking to this lady from Saskatchewan, and I was like, oh, you know, getting to talk to her, like, oh, what do you do? What's your affiliation with real estate? Blah blah blah. Because everyone, like, whether you rent, own, or invest, you have some affiliation with real estate. So I like to lead with that because I don't want to presume that everyone there necessarily owns property. They might be there just learning about how to, or if they want to. And anyway, long story short, it turns out that she manages like 150 properties or something. I'm like, oh, like, so you're a licensed property manager? Well, no, I'm not. Oh, that's illegal. Like, you can't do that. And she's like, oh, no. I started a company, and people buy properties and they lease it to my company, and my company subleases to tenants. It's like,
That's an interesting way to go around it.
that's a very interesting way to go around it. Now, I'm no lawyer, etc. This is not advice. This is sharing ideas. But it's just like super creative, and like, I would have never thought about that. That's really neat.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, especially in our market now, like most of Canada is kind of like, you know, in major markets, we're going through a bit of a hot cycle. And so I say this to like pretty much everybody I know, where it's not about finding good deals right now. It's about creating good deals right now. And just, you know, new creative ideas like that to make things work. That's what you have to do.
Yeah. And yeah, I completely agree. Making good deals. There are some that come on the market, but as we talked about before the recording, like, you have to be ready to go within like 4 hours. Like, your offer's in, and you're going to be in multiples. There's a chance that you'll win it, and there's a chance that you'll get it, and those properties do exist. But if you're really taking seriously what you're doing, you're going to have to do a lot of the education yourself and partner with professionals that are in the thick of it. There's a lot of rules, there's a lot of strategies. There's Victoria has 13 different municipalities. Well, that's 13 sets of bylaws and city halls and different city councils. And in and amongst all of that, there's really niche opportunities that exist, but most people don't know about. And in that way, you can create deals or see deals on properties that are just sitting on the MLS, and no one else knows that that's actually a deal.
Yeah, and I want to talk a little bit more about that in a couple minutes. But before we get there, let's just do a quick little market overview of what's happened over this last month. So I don't know if you want to drop some stats or read from some of the VREB report, or if you have a couple pieces that you wanted to share. But I'd love to hear like what your thoughts are on what happened over this last month, and then where we stand as of today as a like encompassing position in our marketplace.
Sure. So I'm going to leave actually a lot of the generalities, because if people are actually interested, every other realtor in Victoria probably just posts it on their social media page. Yep. So I want to talk about the stuff that is more in between the lines and is more like boots on the ground level. Reality is, it's no secret that in general, the market is depressed. We're not as bad as Vancouver because we still, engineering background, pressure. Like, if you have a balloon that's under pressure and there's an area here that's low pressure, i.e. the normal air, it's going to go over there. So the same idea works with prices in Vancouver. Their prices have dropped substantially, but we're still getting a lot coming over because they sell their rat-infested teardown for 1.5 million. Benchmark price in Victoria is 850,000. Like, this is not too big of a thing. Tech sector is really big in Vancouver. Well, they can't even afford to live there with their good jobs, but they can work remote. So they come here. We're a government city. We have Department of National Defense, etc. So we're more buoyant, but prices are still coming down. Why? There are things outside of our control with banks and the governing bodies that make the rules for the banks. And their stipulation is to protect the banks, not to protect the people. And their theory is that if they protect the banks, then in doing so, they will protect the people. It's a very nanny state, but not here to talk politics. It is what it is. Because of that, the stress test came into effect, and pretty much people can't buy homes like they used to. End of story. You know, your borrowing power used to be, I could buy a $500,000 home for my first property, and now I'm stuck at 350 or 375,000. So it just doesn't work. And people still need to sell their homes for whatever reason, you know, job transfer, downsizing, whatever. And so in order to actually sell their home, they need to adjust the price to where people can buy it.
Yeah.
That being said, you know, that's the overall, any house mouse realtor can talk to you about that. But within that, there are still pockets that, like I alluded to earlier, are multiple offers day one. And it's because properties are valued based on what someone can do with it. So most properties on the market are, I want to live there, or the people I'm going after are people who want to live there. And that's where you're having to see price drops. So luxury markets, not too many people are buying a $2 million home in Oak Bay for an investment property. Now there's some that play it as like a safety deposit box, and that's fine. But the vast majority of investors or developers aren't going to really look at that property and aren't going to care to buy it. So it's probably not going into multiples anytime soon. We're in a housing crisis. So land that can be redeveloped and is at a price point that that is attractive, and in a municipality that supports that, it goes really fast. In Langford, if you just go onto realtor.ca, you'll see that there's been a ton of land assemblies pop up in Langford as a result of one random, for lack of better words, random sale that came from a family out of Vancouver. They bought this land at a record-setting price, and then all of a sudden, just like a swarm of realtors came door knocking this area, like, oh my gosh, it's happening. And so there's so many of these land assemblies at that price, and the local developer community here is getting pretty irate, like, who the heck is doing this? Because like, it's not profitable anymore. But if you get development land in the right area at the right price, bang, multiple offers. If you have a home with a suite at a reasonable price point, like Souk, bang, it's gone. So when people say, how's the market? My typical response is, well, that depends. Are you buying, selling, or investing?
No.
Because you have to get specific. Real estate's not like trading gold or trading, you know, shares in Apple, sorry, or whatever. Like it's so specific.
Yeah. Yeah. And then even within, you know, you said buyer, seller, or investor, even within that, you have hyper local pieces that totally fluctuate. Like you were talking about, like Oak Bay is going to be less hot than, you know, a $550,000 home in Langford. And then,
yeah. Oh yeah, absolutely.
And same as different municipalities, you know, shopping, you know, maybe what would be a little bit slower right now, like a North Saanich versus a Langford or a Esquire.
Yeah, but Machosen, Highlands,
yeah,
like they do like one sale a month.
That's because there's like properties out there.
There's actually quite a few, but like here's the thing: you can't do anything with the property. Like they don't like development.
No.
And the homes are super old. You know, but they want a lot of money for them, and so that buyer pool is really drying up. Now, what might change that is farmland being used for little green plants. Making the land more attractive. That might happen. I don't know. I haven't ventured into that yet with any clients. But until that happens, it's just a much slower market.
I know a lot of people looking for ALR land right now.
Yeah, right. Like, and there's a lot of it, and it's cheaper because you're limited on what you can do with it.
Yeah. Yeah. So, like, you know, let's say I am what I'll call the average investor, in the sense that, you know, I bought a home 4 years ago and, you know, probably built, let's say, you know, $100,000 to $200,000 of equity. You know, I've got a little bit of cash saved up. I'm looking to buy an income property, or to go from, you know, a smaller home to a bigger home and then rent out the smaller home for some additional cash, that kind of stuff. You know, if you're doing, you know, whether it's a refi or HELOC, or just you got cash ready to spend, what type of properties would you be shopping for right now? In what neighborhood?
Well, that depends. There's Vanilla investing is you're just looking for a turnkey property. It's fairly new, or it's in really good shape. You don't want to do any renovations. It's right in your backyard. You don't need a property manager. Like you're eliminating all those things because you're going to do it, or you've bought it such that you don't even need to do it.
Yeah.
Those are really, really hard to get right now. Those are the ones that are going day one multiples, or at least day one accepted offer. And in that case, you're looking in the periphery of Greater Victoria, or outside of Greater Victoria in Chemainus, Duncan, Cowichan Valley areas. I don't really venture beyond that, so I don't want to speculate. Like, I know some people who are investing up island, and I think they're crazy because I love it here, but I'm not really qualified to speak about that.
It's also shopping with emotion and not just based off numbers, maybe.
Yeah, maybe.
You said that. So
yeah, so if I'm vanilla investing, I'm definitely going out to the peripheries. If I'm okay with doing some work, or you can do the work yourself, you can come closer into town, because it's about barrier to entry. Yeah. So a property has latent value. It has more that you can do with it, whether that's redevelopment or putting a suite in the basement or just cosmetic upgrades. Each one of those things is a barrier to entry. That's a point where some people will be like, nah, I'm out. I'm not interested. I don't want to do it. I think it's too risky. I think it's dumb. It's a barrier to entry. And if you can hurdle that barrier to entry, there's less competition.
Mm-hmm.
So vanilla investing, tons of competition. Take it one step further and you're looking for flips, renos, rehabs, things of that sort. Those would be kind of the next competitive tier, I would say, for investors. But they're around more than the vanilla investing. The catch right now with that is because we're in a slightly declining market, sellers are still a year behind. Most of them in their mindset, they're like, well, last year Bob next door sold for 800,000. Gotcha. So markets go up, I want 820. And either their realtor tried to convince them and couldn't, or the realtor's behind as well. But overall, the market's gone down unless there's just like a ton of latent value in it.
Right. So talking about the market kind of flattening or trending downwards a little bit, talking about that trend, if I'm an investor, I'm thinking, great, if the trend is downward, I'm just going to hold off, and I'm not going to buy anything right now because next month it's going to be cheaper in the following month and the following month. Is that a trend that you see coming into a reality, or what is your kind of like, what's your feel on what's going to happen? Because the funny, I was talking to Sherry about this at your meetup on Tuesday. Typically in our real estate cycle in Victoria, our spring is quite busy and hot, and there's a lot of activity happening. And then your summer months, you're kind of like June, July, August, slows down. Whereas this year, for whatever reason, it's kind of like flopped.
Yeah, June was really slow.
June was slow, and even some of the spring months where it was slow as well. And then July was just bananas from a lot of I know have said. So, is it just that people were holding off to see what happens, in the spring, and now activity's picking up again, and we're at the bottom of that trough and things are going to jump? Or are we still going to, possibly see some trending? We have the election coming up in October. Maybe people are still like, foot off the gas pedal to see what happens then. What's your thoughts?
So I'll answer this in two ways. One is what I'm seeing in clients, or what I'm seeing in the general market for buyers. And it's that sentiment that like, oh, well, I'll just wait. I want a deal. I want like a really good deal.
Yeah.
So they just wait. And I'm like, cool, when's the best time to have a kid? And it's like, there is no best time to have a kid. You could wait until you're 60 and then it's too late. And so I say that, and I think it's very pertinent to real estate. Like, when was the best time to buy real estate? Well, 20 years ago. When's the next best time? Right now.
Yeah.
We don't know what the real estate market's going to do. Like, nobody expected Vancouver to jump. I think it was North Van jumped like $500,000 in a month.
Whoa.
Month. Like, nobody had the crystal ball, was like, yeah, that's going to happen. Because if that was readily available, everybody would have done it.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm seeing from buyers. And I don't I don't personally agree that that tactic works. I think that, you know, it works by happenstance for some, but I think there's more that kick themselves, because a deal is a deal. It doesn't matter what time of year it is. It doesn't matter where in the market cycle it is. If it meets all the criteria of being a good investment, like it's a good property, it's a good investment. Like just buy it.
Yeah, you never know what kind of deal you're going to get if you don't go to the table.
No, like people are answering that question for the sellers before ever having the conversation, and it's just like this conversation in the head, and then they just sit there and do nothing.
Yeah.
Well, guess what? You're not going to own any properties that way, and you're likely not going to. You learn a lot from going through the process, even if you don't succeed in closing on a property. And so the more you can do that, the more times at bat, the more likely you are to hit a home run or to at least get a base hit, right? Like I know that that's the same story for yourself and Randy. You didn't go out first property and take down a 200 unit apartment building and renovate it like something irate. You know, you start with a base hit, but it gets you closer and closer, and you just keep going.
Yeah.
So my personal view on what's going to happen, or what's been happening, I think that there's adjustment periods. So talking about barriers to entry. So, okay, government passes down a new piece of legislation in some form or another, whether it's a stress test or it's tightening of landlord BC rules and regulations for homeowners. And it's like, oh my God, the world's ending. Like we can't deal with this. And there's a period of adjustment where most people step out because they're like, no, this is crazy, I'm not into it. And then some people start figuring it out. And they're like, actually, you know, we can work with it this way, or we can do this. And, you know, it's not a market killer. We can adjust. And I think that's what happened. I think that's why June was the way it was, why the spring market was the way it was. People still adjusting. There's been so many deals collapsing on financing. And what I'm seeing as a trend is that people are now getting co-signers or guarantors, usually through parents, to make it happen. So at first it was like, oh my God, we're never going to qualify for anything. And then some real estate professionals and clients were like, well, if this was going to work, what does that look like? Oh, well, what if we got a co-signer? What if we got a guarantor? Would that work? And it turns out that it did.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be parents, you know, per se. It could be a joint venture agreement where you just have a qualifying partner.
Yep. Yeah. So this house that I'm in right now, that's how I got into it, right? I changed careers out of oil and gas, became self-employed, couldn't finance a ham sandwich.
Yeah.
Like, and so a joint venture agreement got me into this home.
Yeah.
And there's
Is that risky?
No, I mean, some people might think it's terribly risky, but good paperwork makes good friends. I think what's risky is the handshake agreement.
Yeah.
Like, sure, like let me take your $90,000 and all of your borrowing power, and like, you know, I'll do good by you. Yeah, sure. We're friends, right? Hey, have another beer on me.
Yeah.
I think that's where people could really get into trouble. But again, you align yourself with the right professionals and in the right circle of people that look for solutions, not in a maverick, like reckless kind of way, but with proper due diligence. Like you can make things happen.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of ways to get creative with it. Whether you have zero money, zero qualifying power, you know, if you're self-employed, you know, there's still ways you can get into the market, and lots of great strategies to make a successful, profitable investment happen as well. You know, I'm kind of got my fingers crossed that the trend continues, you know, a little down.
Of course, yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
because investors and buyers, like that's going to help, and that, at least like if there's more inventory coming on the market, that should balance some of the numbers, because we've seen for a long time now there'd be just a high ratio of sales to active listings, and you know, over the last year, I guess probably we've started to see that ratio become more familiar and balanced, which is you know, exciting for me as an investor, because that means that we can, you know, kind of go hunting again and have, you know, more to shoot at kind of thing.
Yeah. I think we're still, I'll have to double check, but I think we're still somewhere around the 700 to 1,000 off of our average.
Yeah.
on market listings. So we're still in a tight inventory market.
Yeah.
Historically speaking.
Yeah, definitely. I think we were what, like 28 or 2,900 this last month.
Around there, and I'm pretty sure the historical average for Victoria is over 4,000.
Yeah, I thought it was like 36 or 37, but somewhere around those windows. Yeah. Like,
yeah. Either way, we're low, and it can cause problems. What I do like seeing right now, well, I guess it depends which side of the coin you're on. From strictly an investment perspective, rents are still trending upward, even though home prices overall are trending down.
And why is that important?
For cash flow. Even outside of just a buy and hold rental property, what that signifies is that there's a lot of pressure on affordable housing. Yeah. And that's a coin term that gets thrown around more than probably anything else, and it's obnoxious. But if you can provide a product that people can buy, you're gonna have buyers all day. You know, so rather than paying $2,500 a month rent, they could be paying $1,800 a month mortgage and bought your home. So the development game is still there. The problem the hurdle people are having to overcome is some builders want $250 a square foot and others can do it for $170. So you need to find the right builder. We're on an island, so supplies are typically more expensive, and then you have to find the land.
Yeah, which is just as hard.
Yeah, it can be. Yeah,
that's why we need a realtor like you to help.
Yeah, plug.
Exactly. So, speaking of plugs, just to wrap things up here, we have a summer social coming up on this coming Wednesday, so the 7th of August. It's at Spinnaker's Brew Pub from 5:30 to 8:30. Super casual. Come, say hi, and leave, or stay for the whole thing. Obviously, you and everybody else are invited. And then we have our meetup September 17th. You guys do a meetup as well, which I think is the last Tuesday of the month.
Yeah, last Tuesday of every month, except December.
Except for December, yeah. And then what's the best way for people to get a hold of you?
Really, any smoke signals? They can reach out to me. I'm a realtor, so my contact information is everywhere. Phone, email. I tried half-heartedly hard on social media, so you can reach out to me through there. I'll get it, but phone or email would be best. colecrause@gmail.com or 778-679-6346.
There you go, ladies. Sorry he's taken, but you got the phone number now.
Yeah, it's true. I'm taken, married. Oh, I was gonna kill me for 8 years, 9 years, something like that.
Well, thank you so much for being here, dude, and for continuing to bring a lot of value to our community. I highly recommend this team. If you guys are looking for a realtor, contact Colevin, contact the whole team. They know a lot about investment property. They know a lot about the South Island here, Vancouver for sure. And, even if you're not looking for investment property, these guys, because they know so much about how real estate works, they're going to be able to help you regardless of what your situation is. So give them a shout and go buy some stuff or sell some stuff, and just have an awesome, safe, long weekend. And there's more videos coming, so stay tuned. And if you need anything from our end, just shoot us an email, give us a phone call. All of our contact details are on our pages as well. And just cheers to everybody, and we'll see you at our next meetup and our summer social next week. Thanks, everybody.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Colvin. Cheers.